Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stabidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Didati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dhina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishvari Shabana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanjagalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So reading from Srimad Gita Upanishad as it is, translation and commentary, His Divine Grace Sri Lesa Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, text 27, chapter 4, correct? Right? So, chapter 4, very interesting chapter called Transcendental Knowledge. Please repeat. Sarva Indriya Karmani Prana Karmani Chapare Atma Samyama Yoganyo Juvati Jnana Dipite Sarva Indriya Karmani Prana Karmani Chapare Atma Samyama Yogagnyo Juvati Jnana Dipite. So, word for word, please repeat. Sarvani, of all. Indriya, the senses. Karmani, functions. Prana Karmani, functions of the life breath. Cha, also. Apare, others. Atma Samyama, of controlling the mind. Yoga, the linking process. Agnau, in the fire of. Juvati, offer. Jnanadipite, because of the urge for self-realization. Okay, translation Srila Prabhupada. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Please repeat. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Purport Srila Prabhupada. The yoga system conceived by Patanjali is referred to herein. In the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the soul is called Pratyag Atma and Parak Atma. As long as the soul is attached to sense enjoyment, it is called Parak Atma. But as soon as the same soul becomes detached from such sense enjoyment, it is called Pratyak Atma. The soul is subjected to the functions of 10 kinds of air at work within the body, and this is perceived through the breathing system. The Patanjali system of yoga instructs one on how to control the functions of the body's air in a technical matter, so that ultimately all the functions of the air within become favorable for purifying the soul of material attachment. According to this yoga system, Pratyag Atma is the ultimate goal. This Pratyag Atma is withdrawn from the activities in matter. The senses interact with the sense objects, like the ear for hearing, eyes for seeing, nose for smelling, tongue for tasting, and hand for touching. And all of them are thus engaged in activities outside the self. They are called the functions of the prana vayu. The apana vayu goes downward, and the vyana vayu acts to shrink and expand. Samana vayu adjusts equilibrium, udhana vayu goes upwards. And when one is enlightened, one engages all these in searching for self-realization. Mukam karochi vachalam bhangam laite girim yad kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru dinatarinam. Savindriya karmani prana karmani chapare atma samyama yogagnyo juvati jnana dipite. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through the control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. So Krishna is expounding to Arjuna here the different ways that different yogis try to achieve absorption in the transcendence. So, from the Vedas we understand there's 4 types of consciousness. 3 are experienced practically automatically in the material world. One is susupti. This related to tamagun. Susupti means dreamless sleep. When the person goes to bed, goes to sleep, and then there are sections of sleep where it's completely dreamless. And the explanation for this is that the senses of the soul, because we're not the material body and mind, we're the soul within the body. The body is the machine. The soul withdraws its consciousness, or his or her consciousness, however you want to say, completely within. And the example is given in the Vedanta Sutra commentary of Baladev Vidyabhushan. It's just like an eagle in the day flies with its wings at night, and then at night it goes onto a side of a mountain, a cliff face, and it folds its wings and it sleeps until the morning. Then it expands its wings. So susupti is when we unite with Brahman, but we don't become purified. It's like if you get a bottle of water and you put it into the river. It will attain the same energy level, if you like, temperature, as the river water. But then you take it, but it doesn't mix. So susupti is the refreshment of sleep. Sometimes we say, oh, I slept like a rock, right? That means that we didn't have dreams or agitation or distraction, but we just completely were in susupti. People may not know that, but that's actually why it's so refreshing. Because in the material world, when the consciousness is external, as it says here, the consciousness is parag atma. When we're in the material world, we are spiritual beings, but we're relating to the material energy, so it becomes stressful. This is kuntha loka. So when the soul sleeps, he becomes very refreshed in susupti, because the agitation of consciousness by the external material energy is decreased practically to zero. And of course they've done experiments, haven't they, where they stop people from sleeping, right? You know, they try to keep them awake. These demoniac, of course, terrible thing to do. They don't need to do these experiments because everything is in the Vedas. But then people go crazy, right? Because they can't sleep. And after 2-3 days of no sleep, they lose mental control and hallucinate and so on. It's very, you can read about these things. But like I say, there's no need to do that. If they just study the Vedas, everything is there. So then above susupti, on the level with Rajagun, Rajagun means activity, desire. The soul is, consciousness is stimulated to activity and desire, is dreaming state, right? When we dream, and the scientists, they have even recorded this, that people go into a dreamless state and they come into a dream, they call it REM, and it rapid eye movement, and they find that the eyes flicker and so on, and in this dream state the desire of the living entity, he may dream of a woman, or I'm a king, or I've become a rich man, or somebody is chasing me. According to the particular consciousness, different dreams will come there. So that's called swapna. And then above that is jagra, jagriya. Jagra means the world. It means normal waking state. So in the waking state, we know that we're conscious of the external world. This is on a level with goodness, mode of goodness. So in the waking state, we perceive the external world more clearly. For instance, if we're in a dreaming state, we may hear a bang, and in our dream we may think that's an explosion or something. And we may then have a terrible dream about a bomb or something. This is just an example. But in the day, when we're awake, we hear a loud bang, and we analyze it, oh, it's just a motor car backfire from the engine or something like that. So we experience those 3 levels of consciousness as human beings, and also animals also. They fall asleep, They also may have dreaming state in their own way, according to their bodily function, and they are also awake. And they may actually perceive the material world in a better way because of their senses. Like a dog can smell for a great distance, an eagle can fly in the sky, a vulture, and it can see miles, oh, there's a dead body 5 miles away, and come down and eat the zebra on the African plains or something like that. So we all have senses in the awakening state to perceive the material external world. But yoga means to go to the 4th level of consciousness. That is the aim. And that is turiya. Turiya. That is one of the terms, or Vaikuntha. And and that is the level of consciousness of the spiritual platform. Now, this is available for everyone because we are spiritual beings. So we can say now that because of the system given by Lord Chaitanya to hear and chant, how to plug into that 4th level of consciousness, how to go to the spiritual platform. And he has given 9 processes. It's from the Vedas, of course, it's not his. And that is hearing. We can hear, just like you're hearing what I say, and this will help you experience spirituality. Then kirtan, you can chant. You can chant the name of Krishna. You can chant by yourself. You can chant in a kirtan group. And you can chant within the mind. And you can chant quietly. So, this is also spiritual because Krishna's name is spiritual. It is Satchidananda. And then Smaranam. You can meditate upon the form of Krishna and Radharani. You can meditate upon the form of Narayan and Lakshmi Devi. You can meditate upon Ramadi Murti. So all the forms, avatars of Krishna, and you can, within the heart, within the mind, remember the transcendental form of Ram, Krishna, Purusharam, the Leela. Of course, we should have understanding that this form is spiritual, right? And then by meditating on this form, we plug in to the transcendental platform, Turiya, the 4th level of consciousness. And then as we become purified by hearing and chanting and smaranam, remembering, then pada sevanam, we develop realization of our relationship with Krishna. And we desire to serve Krishna, because the soul within the material body is perfectly equipped with an inbuilt natural relationship to Krishna. So when we hear and chant and remember Krishna, his pastimes, and then under the direction of a good spiritual master, we practice service. We may do some service in the temple, cleaning the floor. We may do the Julan. Now it's Julan Yatra. We may swing Krishna on the Julan, the Murti. We may sell some books about Krishna. We may do so many services. All with the attitude of, I'm doing this, pada sevanam means serving the lotus feet. So you serve Krishna with humility. Krishna, I'm a fallen soul, but let me do some service. Huh? And this is also connecting us with the transcendental platform. So this is Bhagavat Marg. Everyone can do this without formal initiation. You just understand this process. Anyone can hear about Krishna. We don't say, you're not initiated, you cannot hear. We don't, oh, you're not initiated, you cannot chant in the kirtan. No. Oh, you cannot do smaranam at home on the form of Krishna. No. You cannot, oh, you're not initiated, you cannot clean the temple. No, just by being sincere, then Krishna will accept the service. Many man-made religions, they say that you have to believe in our prophet, our teacher, and then you'll go to heaven. And if you don't believe in our prophet, our teacher, our holy book, then you're going to hell, right? So they're claiming a monopoly on the Supreme Lord, right? They're saying that our book, our prophet, is the only way. The Vedas, they don't say that. This is just like a businessman trying to get a monopoly, right? Because if you have a monopoly, you can get good money, right? Or something like that. No, Krishna's not monopolized by anyone. And so if you look through history, you'll find many saints and sages who have had realization in their own way of the Supreme Lord, just by being sincere. But often an institution grows up around that saint and sage, and then you get material motivation in the institution and so on and so forth, and it becomes, the message becomes covered. There's a story in Bengal. You know the story? One man, he was sitting at the watching the sunrise. He was sitting below a beautiful tree, and a great sadhu came by, and he was chanting in kirtan. And so the man said, oh, I see you're very ecstatic chanting. And the sadhu said, yes, I've realized the Supreme Lord through my meditation. And now I'm going to that town in the valley, and I'm going to teach the people that the spiritual world is there, and they should just hear and chant and meditate upon the Supreme Lord, and they'll become blissful on the spiritual platform. So the man under the tree said, okay, please, let me, this is a wonderful idea, please go ahead. So he was looking at the beautiful sunrise, and 1 minute later, this Rakshasa, demoniac looking being came. And he was following the sadhu. So the man under the tree says, what are you doing, following that sadhu? He said, well, that man is going to start a religious movement, and I'm going to help with the management. So often the great, like Vyasadeva and the great acharyas and Prabhupada and everyone, they start a religious institution, and then it becomes covered because the material motivation comes in and it starts to cover the original. So Krishna says, Dharma samstapanathaya, I have to come again and again to re-establish the teachings. So this is a very instructive thing. We have to have institutions, you know, because we're in the material world. You know, we have to have legal offices, and we have to pay tax and this and that. But we must be very careful that in relating to the material world, we don't lose the essence of the teaching. You understand? And the essence of the teaching is manmana bhava mad bhakto. Krishna says in the Gita that you should put your consciousness on me, the Transcendental Lord, in a devotional way. Because that is the goal of all spiritual practice. That don't just be stuck on the material platform of consciousness, wakefulness, and then be thinking this. And we see throughout history there's so many philosophers, right? And they're all talking about this and that. Maybe this, maybe that. But in Krishna consciousness, we want to plug in directly to the transcendental platform, the spiritual platform. So we don't want just book knowledge, we want practical experience. So Lord Chaitanya's movement, we emphasize hearing the Vedic literature, hearing the understanding given by the acharyas, hearing from qualified guru, and chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then we go beyond just a mental platform. Because if you consider, say I was to tell you that I've invented a new religion, that by exercising my body, and you exercise your body, and then we'll know the absolute truth. What would you think? You think that's a very peculiar idea. That by becoming big muscles. But then I may invent a philosophy. Or if God is very powerful, so if you become more powerful with big muscles, taking steroids and exercise, then you'll become like God. But wait a minute, God has created this huge universe, so much power, and how much power you can lift 100 kilos and you think you're Hanuman. No. By exercising the body, you cannot understand the absolute truth. But we also have a mind. So the philosophers are people who think that by exercising the mind, you can understand the absolute truth, right? So why you think that you have a tiny little brain, a tiny life, a tiny set of senses? Why do you think that by exercising the mind you can understand? And so we have so many philosophers, right? Aristotle, Socrates, we have communist philosophers, Marx, Engels, then we have psychologists, and they are giving their idea, and then there are people writing other philosophies, socialism, communism, and they're all saying this is the solution. They're just exercising the mind. But if exercising the body is not sufficient, why do you think the mind? So all these people, they invent philosophies, political philosophies, social philosophies, psychological philosophies, out of their tiny little brain and experience. And then in 100 years, nobody bothers. They just become history. But in Krishna consciousness, in the Vedas, and here in Patanjali, we exercise the soul. This is the point. We have an external body, we have a mental body, and we are the soul within. So we say yoga means a technique of uniting the soul with spirit, with the spiritual platform, with Turiya, with the fourth level. And then you will experience that spiritual platform directly and personally, not according to your mind, not according to mental concoction. So the soul, like I said earlier, is equipped to understand the spiritual platform. Why? Because we are spiritual, right? We are spiritual beings. But as Prabhupada explaining here in the purport, our attention is drawn to the external world. But meditation and any bona fide yoga system teaches the aspirant how to withdraw the consciousness from the external world and find the spiritual world within the soul, within the heart. So this is talking here, Prabhupada, about Patanjali. So in Patanjali's yoga system, there is the beginning 2. It is 8. It's also called Ashtanga Yoga. And 1 is Yama, things that you should do. You should be clean, you should be truthful, and so on. And you should be regulated in your habits. Then Niyama, things you don't do. You shouldn't take intoxication, you shouldn't have illicit sex, you shouldn't overeat, you shouldn't be unregulated. They have so many niyamas. And then the third one is Ashtanga, asana. Asana means exercises. Surya Namaskar, they have 12 major processes, Bhujangasan, Dhanursan, and these are exercises to make the body fit, basically. Sometimes called also Hatha Yoga. Hatha. It's to balance the life airs within the body and make the body healthy. Because if you're taking intoxication, meat, if you're unregulated and you're watching movies and nonsense, then the mind is agitated. So asana means how to sit nicely. And if your body is weak, you cannot sit properly and you cannot meditate. So asana means to make the body healthy. Then the 4th step is pranayam, as Prabhupada mentions. The soul is within the body, and the body is controlled by different life airs. It doesn't mean to say airs, but it means electrical, subtle currents within the body. So by pranayam, anuloma, pranayam, and bastrika, bellows breath, and this helps to withdraw the consciousness. It balances. Because, for example, when somebody's angry, their mind is agitated. They throw their arms and legs around. So we want to keep a quiet heart. So by practicing pranayam, our consciousness goes from the external body to the subtle body within. And then pratyahara is there. That means withdrawing the attention from the external world and fixing it within the heart. And then, so that is the 5th. And then there is Jhan. Wait a minute. I forget. Jhan and Samadhi. Oh, Dharana. Yeah, Jhan, Dharana, Samadhi. The last 3 stages is Jhan means to contemplate. So now you've withdrawn your senses from the external world. You're concentrating on Paramatma or Krishna within the heart. So this is Jhan, contemplation. The consciousness, you created what's called a Manasamurti within the heart. And then dharana. Dharana means unbroken flow of concentration. Dharana. It means that now the soul is contemplating Krishna and is seeing the beautiful form of Krishna, and there's a flow of consciousness. So dharana, it's becoming automatic because Krishna, Ram, Radha, the spiritual world is all attractive. Krishna means all attractive. So then they are practicing a flow, and then comes samadhi. And that means the consciousness becomes very purified, and then the soul becomes united with the spiritual platform. So Prabhupada says this is conceived of by Patanjali. So that means that it is not strictly Vedic in the ultimate analysis, and I'll give you the explanation for that. Because we have the Vedas, but there are what's called 6 darshans of the Vedas, and that is 6 interpretations of the Vedic knowledge. Yes. There are many theoretical philosophers in the world who put forward, this is Prabhupada in the Srimad Bhagavatam, one purport, the first canto, 17th chapter, verse 18, yes. And here's the purport. There are many theoretical philosophers in the world who put forward their own theories of cause and effect, especially about the cause of suffering and its effect. When people talk about God, or even atheistic people, they always say, if there's God, why is there suffering? Because, especially the cause of suffering and its effect on different living beings. Now, as I explained before, there's many material philosophers, and they don't know the Vedas, so they completely speculate. But these 6 philosophies now, that Prabhupada will explain, they are interpretations, not through just mental gymnastics, but on the basis of Vedic knowledge, on the basis of the Vedas. So there are 6 basic philosophies, and Prabhupada explains that if you understand these, then you can see this element in this material philosophy mixed with this element, all the 6. So here are the 6. Generally there are 6 great philosophers. Ganada, the author of Vaisheshika philosophy. Gautama, the author of logic, that means Nyaya. Patanjali, the author of mystic yoga that we just explained. Kapil, the author of Sankhya philosophy. Jainmani, the author of Karma Mimamsa, and Vedavyas, the author of Vedanta Darshana. So these are the 6 basic ways of darshans, or darshan in this context means way of seeing. So there are 6 ways of seeing the Vedas. So this Kanada, the author of Vaisheshika philosophy, this is the root of the voidistic idea. Basically that philosophy, you can see Buddhism has come from this. Even Mayavad in a certain way. The idea is that yes, there is this world and the suffering, but it has all come from nothingness. Right? And this is what the material scientists say nowadays, is it not? They say there was nothing, and then there was a big bang, and then somehow life and consciousness came, and then through evolution all the different people came, and all the monkeys, and we have a common ancestor with the monkeys, and so on and so forth, and they have all their explanation like this, right? So that is rooted in the idea that everything has come from nothing, which is Vaisheshika. And Kanada, he made that philosophy. Yes, the Vedas talk about this, but we should understand everything comes from nothing, which is not very logical, right? Because nothing doesn't exist in the first place by definition, so how can everything come from it? If you have nothing in your pocket, you can't get anything from the shop. Even a child knows that much, right? Nothing, if you look in the dictionary, is the absence of everything. You can't turn nothing into a dark space, because that's something. You can't say that nothing is a singularity, because a singularity is something, right? You can't have nothing that is something, because nothing is the zero before the zero, right? You understand? So it's not logical. So in the debates between the Vedic sages, they don't really waste much time on this nothing. But this is what is very popular nowadays. Yeah. Everything has come from nothing. Oh yeah? Nothing exploded. That means that nothing happened, right? But they say nothing exploded and everything happened. It's a very odd philosophy. So anyway, Canada. But so you can see that element in the modern world, right? Everything has come from nothing. And then Gautama, the author of logic. So that's called Nyaya, and Lord Chaitanya was a great expert in Nyaya, and that is talking about cause and effect in terms of logic. It's very interesting. I studied up about this years back. What is logical, what is not logical. And this is also helpful because it helps you to analyze and see things that are logical. So you can apply Nyaya to Vaisheshika and say it's illogical to say everything is come from nothing. So they apply logic to the Vedas. You understand? They say the Vedas are there, the Vedic knowledge, but we should analyze it with knowledge. So they're not really becoming devotional. You understand? They're saying, use your brain, use the laws of logic, and then you'll understand the Vedas better. But we say, we'll come to this later, we say have devotion, and then by the grace of Krishna you will be able to understand the spiritual world. But anyway, they're discussing the Vedas, so that's good. It's not logic that is disassociated from the Vedas. And then Patanjali, the author of mystic yoga. So this is Patanjali's idea. I remember when I was a student, I got a translation of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. The copy that I got was 106. And in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, he talks about that there is an oversoul that is controlling everything. A super soul. It's a conception that goes towards that behind this material manifestation there is an oversoul who is controlling everything or within everything. So now we're getting towards personalism, but he's not really teaching devotion. He's teaching meditate upon the oversoul, and then you will become in samadhi and you'll get power from the oversoul, from that meditation, and you'll get anima, lagima, you'll get the power to go in the sky, to levitate, to become very small, to reach to Kabul and bring a pomegranate. No, there's you know, right? Everybody knows there's a history in India of great yogis, right, that develop these mystic powers. So they're meditating on the oversoul or the super soul, and they're getting power because their consciousness and their austerity, they're performing breathing exercises and they're getting power. But it's not devotional interpretation of the Vedas. but it has a certain validity, just like logic has a certain validity. So if you meditate on the super soul and you perform austerity and you're celibate and you practice austerity, you only eat satu, right? You know, in India they have satu, and you're very austere in your eating, and you go in the forest and you meditate, then you can get power by your austerity, and you may develop these powers. This is explained also in the Bhagavatam. For example, if you meditate upon Krishna as Vasudeva, the knower of past, present and future, then you can also know past, present and future. Right? So whatever aspect, it explains in the Bhagavatam, that whatever aspect you meditate upon of the Supreme Lord, then you will get a similar power, because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We are Angsa of Krishna. But we, in the path of bhakti, we don't want material power. We want bhakti. We want to please the Supreme Lord by devoted service. This is the ultimate way to meditate upon the Supreme Lord. But there again, Patanjali has given this system, and it brings people towards meditation on the spiritual platform. So you cannot completely dismiss it, but because it is attracting certain people towards it. So then there's Sankhya, atheistic Sankhya philosophy, and Kapila. I can't pretend to be an expert on these great philosophies because they all have their books and so on. But basically, as Prabhupada says, they want to analyze the material elements. In the Vedas it explains there is the senses, the mind, the sense objects, there is the intelligence, there's so many material elements, and they discuss that there is Prakriti and Purusha, and they say that this is like in a pea. You know a pea? You have two halves of a pea. So they say that Purusha and Prakriti are two parts of the pea. And you can gain enlightenment by uniting Prakriti and Purusha through meditation. And you can analyze the material world as described in the Vedas and the spiritual world as Prakriti and Purusha, and you can gain enlightenment in that way. Instead of seeing Prakriti, energy, and person, Purusha, unite the two and come into a kind of oneness. So this is an element of Mayavad philosophy is there, because they say this mixture of energy and objects is illusory. You have to unite them in your meditation and merge into the oneness. So this is Mayavad philosophy. So you will find, so the element of the material scientists is they want to analyze the atoms and molecules and the gene code, and they say if we know the gene code we can change it and then you won't have to die. Or if we know the gene code, we'll be able to make you super strong, or something like that. And they're doing all sorts of experiments about analyzing the material elements. So this is an element of Sankhya, that by analyzing the material elements you can become enlightened and gain knowledge, and you can escape suffering, and you can live forever. And they actually believe like that. They're not succeeding, and they never will, because we know that Krishna is the ultimate objective, not long life. So then, the fifth darshan is Jainmani. That's called Kama Mimamsa. Now basically, there are yagyas in the Vedas. The Vedas, each Veda has 4 sections. Samhita, that means prayers. Yagyas, that means performances. You know, like a fire yagya, offering ghee, offering gain. Then there's aranyakas. And the aranyakas are disciples and gurus, and they're discussing how to perform the yagya, what prayers to say. And then the fourth part of each Veda is the Upanishads. And the Upanishad teach transcendence. Like we have Isha Upanishad. There are, according to the research I did, there are 1,600 Upanishads in all the Vedas, the Rig, Yajur, Samar, Atharva Veda. And so there are 108 principal Upanishads, most important. And the most important of them, the summary of that, is the Isha Upanishad. It starts with Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat. So they teach that yes, instead of performing all these yagyas for material benefit, you should look to spiritual platform, the Upanishads. But now in Karma Mimamsa, they say that yes, you perform all these yagyas and Vishnu is subordinate to the yagya. That means you perform the yagya nicely, and the yagya Purush, Vishnu, must give you the result. Just like if you perform the yagya for rain, then Vishnu must give it. So this is not devotional either, because they are saying that Vishnu is subordinate to the performance of yagya. You understand? You perform a yagya and Vishnu has got to do it. So it makes Vishnu into a kind of mechanical rewarder of yagya. He has to give the result. So that is not bhakti. That means that Vishnu is got to do what he's told. That means he's not really the Supreme Lord. You see, you can apply Nyaya to this. And then the sixth is Vedavyas, the author of Vedanta Darshan. So Vedavyas, he is the author of the Vedas, so his way of seeing the Vedas is the sublime way. And that is given in the Vedanta Sutra. And there's 4 sections to, they're called khandas. There's 4 sections to the Vedanta Sutra. The first one is Sambandha, relationships between the material and spiritual energy, the living entity, and all this. That is. Then the second is Abhideya Khanda, or corner, and that is how to worship the Supreme Lord. And there he teaches devotional bhakti. Manmana bhavamad bhakto. Perform yagya in a very namaskuru, as an offering. Not, I'm performing a yagya and there you must give me the result. No, it's an offering. And you, Supreme Lord, whatever you desire, you can give. If you give nothing, that's it. But I love you, I have spiritual love for you, so I'm doing kirtan and everything is your mercy. So that is Abhideya Tattva, how to perform, like I explained, the performances of bhakti, Navavidya Bhakti, 9 processes. And then there is Khanda of Prayojan. That means the goal, what you're trying to attain. So in the Vedanta Sutra, in the 3rd Khanda, it explains the objective, which is Krishna Prem. That in the spiritual world, everyone is the devoted servant of the Supreme Eternal Lord and his devotees. They're all devoted to each other. There's no selfishness. It's all perfect. So that is explained. And then that leads to the 4th Khanda of the Vedanta Sutra, which is called the Mukti Khanda. Mukti means the conditions of liberated soul. Right? Muktir hitavam yata rupam. that mukti is to be established in your spiritual identity, your spiritual nature, in relationship to the Supreme Lord and His devotees. And that relationship is eternal. It is not to merge into the void or to merge into the energy, the monistic or the Brahman. It is to have your eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. So that is the fourth kanda. And then, so the Srimad Bhagavatam is the Vedanta Sutra Bhashyanam. It is the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Because the Vedanta Sutra is highly philosophical. It's very interesting if you like philosophy, but it is very intellectual, but very relishable at the same time. But so that it is not misunderstood, Narada Muni told Vedavyas, you're not really satisfied after compiling all the Vedas, because you're not satisfied because you haven't glorified the Supreme Lord and His Leela. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. And there, it is, if you look at the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Amala Puran, it is just the discussion of the Leela of devotees and the Supreme Lord, Prahlad and Nrsimha, Dhruva Maharaj and Supreme Lord, Narada Muni and the Supreme Lord. And it leads the student to the 10th canto, where it is where the Vaikuntha Leela of Golok Vrindavan, which we understand is the highest portion of the spiritual world, and it explains the position of conjugal ras, the gopis, Mother Yashoda in Vatsalya Bhav, the cowherd boys, Sakya Bhav, Dasya Bhav. So it leads the Srimad Bhagavatam, and in the Srimad Bhagavatam it explains there that the question is asked in Naimisharanya when the Srimad Bhagavatam was recited. The question is asked, where is, now that Krishna has gone to his own, where is religiosity now? So the answer is given, Paranaka Dunodita. Yes, Krishna has gone, but now he's remaining in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, bhakti is fully described. And then now Lord Chaitanya has come, and he is Krishna himself in the mood of a devotee to teach how to realize the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? That is the position of Lord Chaitanya. He is Krishna, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. He is Lord Chaitanya, and so because Krishna, he gave his Leela here in Gokul Vrindavan, he displayed the Goloka Leela, but many people, they didn't understand. They just thought, oh, Krishna is very powerful, he's a very powerful man, this and that. But then he comes now, 500 years back approximately, as Lord Chaitanya, as a devotee, stealing the bhava of Srimati Radharani, and he's, by example, he is teaching how to be a devotee. And if you read, now today is the disappearance day of Gauridas Pandit and Rupa Goswami, Rupa Raghunatha Pade. We are the followers of the path chalked out by Rupa Goswami and Raghunath. Rupa Goswami is the Abhideya Acharya, and Raghunath is the Prayojan Acharya. Sanatana Goswami is the Sambandha Acharya. Of course they know everything, but they are particularly teaching those aspects. Vilap Pushmanjali and so on, and Rupa Goswami is giving Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Dij Bala Ulamana, so many commentary, so many Leela Shastra. So they are giving all this explanation that's expanding the understanding of the transcendental world in their literature. So you can see how wonderful the Vedic literature is. You have the Vedas, you have 6 great sages, and though we don't agree with their conclusions, but we can see that they are deputed by the Supreme Lord to attract people, to attract the philosopher who likes logic and argument, to attract the voidist, to attract the person who wants to perform mystic yoga, to attract the person who wants to perform yajnas. It's like these sages are like a big, say you want to put milk into a container. So the container may have a small opening, but you put a funnel, and then you put the milk and it goes into the central point. So the Vedas and the great sages, they have given, they are like the funnel, and the Vedavyas, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna, is like the entrance point. They are leading people to this final conclusion, which Krishna explains later in the Gita, that Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. 4 things. Always fix your mind on transcendence in a devotional way. Perform all your material activities as an offering to me, madhyaji mam namaskuru, and approach me with humility. So it's not that Krishna wants everyone to bow down, but he's giving a great secret. Just like if I approach any one of you with humility, it will touch your heart. Is it not? If I say, "Oh Prabhu, how are you feeling?" so on, and is there anything I can do to you? Do for you, then you will be touched in the heart, right? Oh, this is a very gentle soul. So when Krishna says Mam Namaskuru, he's giving a secret to the world. When somebody approaches me with humility, it touches my heart. And it touches our heart, because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So that is the secret of all secrets, Krishna tells Arjuna. So that is actually the conclusion, because this is known as the Gita Upanishad. This is also, all the Vedic knowledge is also, all the Upanishad knowledge is contained in the Bhagavad-Gita. It's explained that the Mahabharata is like a cow, and the Bhagavad-Gita is like the milk, and Arjuna is like the milkman. He's drawing, by his conversation with Krishna, he's drawing the essence of the Vedas. And then we take that milk, we make nice laddu, kheer, sweet rice, and we go back to Godhead, you see. Yes. So this is the wonderful nature of the Vedas. The Vedas are the explanation. It is like, just like, say you get a smartphone. You get a manual to explain. Say you get a stereo system, it will come with a manual how to use it. Say you get an AC and you have a remote control, but it has a manual. Press this button and this will affect the temperature. This button will attack the fan speed. And then if you have the manual, you know how to get the best out of the AC or the smartphone. So the Vedas are the manual of the spiritual and material creation. They explain who the Supreme Lord is, who we are, what our relationship is, how you can attract the Supreme Lord, how you can go to the spiritual platform. And if you study that manual nicely, then you can go to the spiritual world. Because Lord Chaitanya, you may have a manual, but you need somebody to tell you. Right? Say, yeah, how to use, what does this mean? This button, that is a headache. But then if the engineer or the shop wallah comes along, he says, oh, this means that, this means, then you can very quickly understand. Yeah, you can very quickly understand. So the Vedas, combined with Guru Parampara, the sadhus and the acharyas, they teach us what is this world, what we should practice in this world, and that we should actually try to go now to the spiritual world. And Krishna himself says, I think this chapter, Jnanavam mam prapadyante. Those that have knowledge, Jnanavam, that have the Vedic knowledge from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, the Vedas, mam prapadyante, they surrender to me. But not surrender like a defeated army. They surrender like a lover and the beloved. Right? Just like the mother, through love, surrenders to the need of the child. Right? It's not because she has to. The child is very small and insignificant. She can walk away. But because of love, she surrenders to the child. So the devotee surrenders to Krishna because Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhukabanai Shravanadi Sudha Chitte Karide Udai. Because the soul is fully equipped. Nitya Siddha Krishna, it is there, it is perfect, but it is dormant. And by Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, then that wakes up. Karide Udai. Sudha Chitte. So this is the Vedic conclusion. This is the Vedic sages. This is what Arjuna is receiving from Krishna. And this is what Prabhupada has given. This is what Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, what Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, what Gauridas Pandit has given, what Rupa Goswami has given. This is what all the acharyas have given. So we're very fortunate. Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Gauridas Pandit, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sadhu Sangha, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So thank you all very much for listening. I've gone on a bit late because of the rain. There's nowhere to go anyway. Yeah. Yeah. We're performing yajna, so the rain has come. Yeah.
He followed strictly Bhagavad-Gita and executed that a great
yeah,
and made an atom bomb. So why did the scientists of this present days don't think about what he followed and made such an execution, this is big execution.
Yes,
why
that's right. It was Oppenheimer. He made the atom bomb. And when it exploded, he quoted from the Gita, Kalosmi aham, time I am, destroyer of all worlds. So educated people, they know about Bhagavad-Gita, they know the Vedas. This is, like I studied English and I met many professors and this and that, and they know about the Vedas, but they may not have complete knowledge because they don't have guru.
Because of previous birth.
Yes.
That's why we got this parampara.
Yeah, they're not initiated, or they've not studied in parampara. But the Bhagavad-Gita, like before I read Prabhupada's Gita, I read 2 or 3 versions of the Bhagavad-Gita because I was interested in that kind of thing. So I read those books, but I didn't really understand But then when I read Prabhupada's Gita with the commentary, I could get more depth, more understanding. So yes, educated people who are not biased.
More bias. And they try to understand.
Yes, they're trying to get not. Yes, they're trying to understand this world. Then they know the Vedas are a great source. So that is the mission of the Acharyas, particularly Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, told Prabhupada, give this knowledge to the West, because they're just speculating. They're exercising their brain. Maybe this, maybe that, this social theory, should we be capitalist or should we be socialist? And even Hitler, right? He adopted the swastika idea. He knew something about the Vedas also. He was talking about the Aryans, right? Because I know that in Europe, you see, when Parashuram was angry with the Kshatriya, he drove many Kshatriya into Europe. That is historical fact. And they mixed with the local people and became the Europeans. And you see, the European, they're very Kshatriya, they have a streak. They go all over the world and they organize.
They try to dominate.
Yes, that is the Kshatriya spirit.
Exercise the dominance.
Yes, and they go to Africa and we want to arrange this country and we want to go.
Kshatriya's nature.
Yes. Huh? Yeah, and then they tried to organize and do business and organize the world and have a world government now they want, and the League of United Nations. So this is Kshatriya spirit.
Secretly they are following Indian philosophy.
Huh? Yeah, they don't have proper Brahminical knowledge.
But they are following the
Their inner nature, you see.
Because unavailability of association of devotee, unavailability of association of devotee, because in Kali Yuga without association of devotee nobody can understand the tattva.
Yeah.
Because Krishna himself said in Gita, only one who performs bhajan can understand me. Bhakti mama bhi janati. So bhakti mama bhi janati can be obtained only through the association of devotee by the mercy of bhakta.
And so Srila Prabhupada said, and if you read...
That's why they don't understand. That's why the foreign people are...
Because they don't have the
the
sadhus and the acharyas.
Now everything is explained by Prabhuji.
But they have the potential.
They have the Kshatriya spirit and they want to make organization and government, but they don't know what the goal is. Right? So they're going wrong in so many ways. So Prabhupada said the mission of ISKCON is to wake up the Kshatriya in the West, but give them Brahminical knowledge. The mission of ISKCON, one aspect is to create people who know the Vedic knowledge properly and who can teach the government people how to govern properly. Yeah.
This must be initiated Brahmins.
You see, if you don't have the Brahminical knowledge that the goal of human life is to understand Krishna and go to the spiritual world, what will happen is you have all your government power and your army, then you'll just use it for money, right? You'll just create trade and then you'll get money and you'll become corrupt.
Governance will be
So actually the solution for all the First World War, Second World War, everything, outside they think it is UN, United Nations is solution. But actual solution is ISKCON.
Yeah, the solution is to create a class of learned Vaishnavas who can tell the government what the goal of human life is. You see, the government should not exploit the people and keep them in ignorance and just takes tax money. and then waste the tax money in making, this super collider or atom bombs or UFOs or whatever. The government is Kshatriya, means one who delivers from harm. The government should give knowledge to the people, give spiritual knowledge to the people, protect the people. Yeah, and then they should rely on a pure environment, the natural water, the rivers, the oceans. But now this is all becoming polluted in the world, is it not? The oceans are polluted by oil and nuclear waste, and the air is full of dust and industrial pollution, and the rivers, the Jamuna is polluted. But this is not just India, this is the whole world.
Yes, because of arms race.
Yeah. Because they're fighting about who's being powerful.
Every country wants to be
number one.
superior.
It's like the monkeys, right? They all want to be the big monkey.
The current situation is like this only in India. They are wasting money. So first Indian government should accept ISKCON official. Actually it is established, what you said, in 6 school of medicine philosophy, and the last Vedanta has Advaita, Vishishtadvaita and Dvaita. And the latest philosophy is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Abhedabheda philosophy. And it is established lastly by Baldev Vidyabhushan in Jaipur. So the government should accept the...
Yeah. So that is the mission of ISKCON, to put these Rupa Goswami, Baladev Vidyabhushan, Gauridas Pandit, Sanatan Goswami, or make all this literature available, and then you will see. Because, like I say, I studied English in the West. But it's all just, I used to enjoy reading Shakespeare. Now it's very good, very dramatic, good turn of phrase, a good story. But there's no real knowledge there. But when you start to read the Vedas, the Bhagavad-Gita, then you see the quality of the knowledge is fantastic. I mean, I remember the first time, if I may say, the first time I read Prabhupada's Gita, I was amazed. Because here was a book that made sense, that you could understand. And I used to read each page and I would think, I hope I don't find any mistake in the next page. Right? Because I used to analyze critically. But I was amazed that Prabhupada's Gita was fantastic. It was, yeah. So this Vedic knowledge, properly presented, any reasonably intelligent person must think, this is wonderful. And even if they're not very intellectual, if they take prasad and they chant Hare Krishna, then they will feel, they will go to the spiritual platform, they will feel, right? So now the whole world is becoming materialistic, but only in India is the Vedic knowledge, right? The Indian culture is different from the whole world. You know that? Why? Because this is based, the Indian culture is based on the Vedic knowledge. And now we have to spread this knowledge to the world, and slowly, slowly, I can tell you, I was talking to one American the other day, and you know that even ordinary working people in America now know about yoga. And they know about Ayurveda. Do you know that in Scotland? Yeah. Yeah. So they may not be giving a perfect conclusion, but now in the West, everybody knows what mantra means, what guru is. People know about Ayurveda. They want to eat natural food and vegetarian food. So this is slowly, slowly, the Vedic knowledge is going in the world. We cannot expect that in one moment everyone will chant Hare Krishna.